So I've seen so many good things that local police departments have done and some not so good things. So I'm just taking all of that information and knowledge and I'm bringing it here to Dallas.
All right, well, gee, first of all, how's your first week been?
Look, it's been really exciting. It's definitely a little bit different and it's challenging, but really exciting.
Um, so tell us a little bit just about your background, because a lot of people in Dallas don't know where you came from. I found it interesting that you were from New Orleans, and your story that you told about your mom at your retirement party, I thought was really powerful.
Well, thank you, first of all. I absolutely adore and love my mother. We started off as a single family. I don't know my biological dad. He was married to my mom and he was very abusive. He was an alcoholic. So they divorced. About 3 years old, we moved from Lafayette, Louisiana to New Orleans. And from there, it all started. My mom raised me as she apologizes to this day on $70 a week. She used to have to buy my clothes too big, and I wore them until they were too small. But it's part of who I am now, and it helped build me.
I love when you said, that's where we were, but look where we are now.
Yeah, I love saying that just for the fact, no matter where you start, you can always create and make your own finish. Your outcome can be different. No one else has to dictate your outcome. You can dictate your own outcome.
And I didn't realize that you played baseball. Then you owe that to your stepdad. I found that really interesting.
Yeah, so when we lived in New Orleans, everybody was playing basketball and football, and my stepdad was like, no. And let me correct that. He's not my stepdad. He is
Your
my
dad.
dad.
Yeah.
He is 100% my dad. And he put me in baseball, and he was like, I want you to see a different side. I want you to see other cultures, and I want you to hang with others than those who just look like you. And that truly helped me throughout my career also.
Wow. And then you owe a lot to your family that's been, you were very proud of your sons and your wife.
I have two amazing sons that are way smarter than me, and they're going to be way more successful than I am. Like I said, they keep raising the bar for me to keep striving to be even better.
You have had such a decorated career within the DEA. Why did you decide you wanted to become a police chief?
It's something I always wanted to circle back to. I started off as 21 years old as a Houston police officer, and I wanted to circle back, and I wanted to end my career as a police chief.
So, what are your plans for Dallas? What's your first priority?
Well, look, first priority is going to be recruiting. We have to recruit. We have to bring more officers here so we can make sure we keep everybody safe and do our job to the highest level.
What does that look like? Because recruitment has been an issue since I've been here for decades. At least 2 decades. Every chief has had this struggle: the pay, the just not people not really wanting to get into law enforcement right now.
Yeah, look, that's a problem across the United States. Law enforcement is not as sexy as it used to be, but we're going to try to bring that appeal back to where people want to be officers again. It's a great job. It's an amazing career. You can help others in so many different ways. So here in Dallas, we're going to work on the morale, and it's going to start from the top, where hopefully I can make the morale the very best that has ever been in Dallas. We're going to work on the culture, and hopefully once we hire you, you're going to want to stay.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Chief Garcia left the department in pretty good shape when it came to that issue. But how do you specifically get out there and bring more people in, especially because you've got the hero amendment that's saying you've got to hire X amount of officers, and we know that DPD can barely make it to attrition sometimes.
Look, it would have been easier to take over a department that was doing really, really bad. That would have been easier. But Dallas Police Department's not bad. He did leave it in a good place. So it's my job just to take what he has already built and try to expand on it. And that's what I'm really going to work on. And look, we have to target a lot of officers that already have experience, and then those who don't have experience that we can put them through our academy and get them the necessary experience that they need. The academy, look, I've been out there. We're going to get a brand new academy, which is also going to help recruitment. So there's some really good things that's happening in Dallas that's going to help us recruit. But in addition to just in the recruiting area, I really want to civilianize some of the positions in recruiting because there's professionals out there who knows how to do it better than some of us that are carrying guns. So I'm going to look in that to bring in some professionals to help us recruit.
When it comes to the crime plan, I mean, Dallas has had a reduction in crime almost every year for the last 3 years, and significantly. But of course, last night we had 2 kids shot. What is your crime plan? What are you going to do?
Look, we're going to keep everything that's in place right now because it's been working. So I'm not going to come in and take something that's been working and just because I'm a new police chief here say, oh, we're going to change it. No, we're going to keep everything there and we're just going to add to it. We're going to build on it. One of the things that we're already working on is we're really looking for anybody that has felony warrants out there. If you have felony warrants, we're coming to get you. I truly believe those who have felony warrants are more likely to commit another crime than those who don't. So we're really making that a high priority. We're going to work with our partners, and we're going to get special little task force together that's going to really target some of these violent criminals.
Yeah, I know that in the past they've had impact offender lists. Chief Kunkel was really big on that. Would that be something that you're looking at, is looking at identifying the impact offenders? Because as we know, 10% of criminals commit 90% of the crime.
That's absolutely on the radar, and I've talked to a couple of the federal agencies, and we're really going to target some individuals that are creating and causing most of the crimes out here.
Speaking of federal agencies, how do you make that transition from being a federal agent into local policing? What's going to be the biggest challenge, you think?
Look, I don't think it's going to be hard at all because I've been a local police officer my entire life. At least that's what I feel. Because every area that I've worked in with the federal government, I've always been connected with the HIDA programs, which is mainly local officers. And from Los Angeles to San Francisco to Gulfport to Tucson, Jackson, Mississippi, all of those areas, I was fully involved in the HIDA programs. So I've seen so many good things that local police departments have done and some not so good things. So I'm just taking all of that information and knowledge and I'm bringing it here to Dallas.
So working with federal agencies, I know we obviously, there's lots of task force, the FBI task force, the HIDA task force, even with ATF, the U.S. Marshals. What about ICE and immigration? That is a very big concern. Some people may be afraid to, first let's start off with, our citizens that are not here legally or undocumented, okay to call the Dallas Police Department, because there's that fear, I think, among immigrants right now.
Look, with the Dallas Police Department, we're not running any programs on our own where we're going out looking for illegal immigrants. That's not what we're doing. However, we will work shoulder to shoulder with all of our federal partners. When they need our assistance, we'll be there to help. We'll be there to support them. As long as it's being done legally and by the law, we will be there to support them.
So on immigration, if ICE were to ask you to come in, because they haven't, my understanding is no federal agency has asked y'all to come in and do any sort of immigration enforcement, would that be something that Dallas would participate in?
If ICE is the lead and they're running an operation and they need our support, we will be there to help them.
But not specifically, the general order say not to pull people over, just to ask them for their immigration status.
No, if they're doing an operation where they're working in our area and they need our assistance, we'll be there to help.
Now, going back to, I lost my train of thought there. We're talking about immigration. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the response times, because that is an area that DPD has struggled with, especially now with Priority 1s. Priority 1s used to be really great. 8 minutes or less. That's the target anyway. Now you're looking at a little bit longer response times. You don't have enough officers. How do you address that?
Look, it's something that since I've gotten this job, that is something that I've been looking at. And right now we're doing some analysis. We're looking at the data and I'm trying to figure out the best way to approach this to make everything better. Obviously we have some recruits coming out, which is going to help. We have several classes that's in the academy right now. So that will help because we have more officers. But we really need to look at the list of offenses and see what's going on. And I am doing a deep dive right now. So hopefully I'll have more answers on that soon.
Yeah, I know, but patrol seems to be one of the areas that everybody pulls from when you need detectives here, but then you don't have enough call answers, I guess. So that's the struggle. You basically need more coverage. You're 1,000 officers short from where you were even 10 years ago. That's a struggle for any department.
Yes, it is. But, we have to figure out how to use our resources properly and accordingly, and we're going to do that.
command staff changes. Are you looking at bringing some people of your own in, and what are you planning to do with the current command staff?
Look, it's still early on right now. I am trying to learn every single individual on the command staff. And once I do that, then we'll make the necessary decisions. And if there's any movement, then we'll do it at the proper time. But right now, it's not the proper time. Right now, I just want to focus on understanding what everyone's doing and get a knowledge of who's really good.
And one of the things, again, that I feel like Chief Garcia was very successful at, not to just keep talking about him because he's no longer here, but he did bridge a lot of bridges between the community and DPD, bringing in people like Anton Lucky, the violence interrupters. How are you going to work with the community?
So I'm a community guy, and even from the federal side, I've always had relationships with the community. So that's going to be one of the easiest parts of the job for me, because I'm going to be accessible and I'm going to listen. I'm going to look and I'm going to learn from the community and see what's exactly needed in the community. And I think all communities will feel like I'm a part of their community.
You were really quick when you got here to fire a couple of people. I mean, that was kind of surprising because I've never seen a chief come in right away, and IED's been backed up. It's been a mess for a while. Any ideas on how you fix that and get those cases out quicker?
Look, there's a few things that's in my bag that I'm looking at. I don't want to talk about it just yet. I want to make sure I can get it approved, make sure I can get it done. But it is definitely an area that I'm looking at. And look, for IED, it's for officers' wellness also. You want to speed that whole process up. When they make a mistake and they do something wrong, oftentimes they want to pay their penalty because they will admit when they did something wrong. So they want the process to be faster. We need the process to be faster for officers' wellness. But also, when an officer does something wrong, we want the community to understand and be fully transparent to them that we're addressing the issues.
I was just about to ask you that because some of your predecessors have been great about transparency, others not so much. When it comes to coming out there when there's a big controversial issue, where do you stand on releasing body cam footage and getting out there and making sure that the public understands what happened early on?
Yeah, we won't hide. We won't hide under me. We're going to admit if we do something wrong, we'll admit it. And when we do something right, we'll show you that also. So we want you to see everything that we're doing. We want to be fully transparent as a police department, and that is 100% my goal.
All right. How about working with the council? Have you had a chance to take a look at what that's going to look like? It's a little different from the DEA where you have like a hierarchy that you've got to, get approval to do anything. But here you're your own person that makes the decisions and can change the general orders at the, drop of a pen.
So the council is just like the community, right? They're representing the community. So as long as I'm working with them, being fully transparent, listening to the needs of the council, because they're representing the communities. All of the communities are talking to the council, so it makes it a little easy to sit in a room and see what each one needs, and then from that, we'll look to see the resources that we have with the Dallas Police Department to make everybody successful.
What is your goal? What do you want your legacy to be when you leave here? And I know you're just starting off, but say, down the road, you could look in the future. What do you want that to be?
Look, one thing, I definitely want communities to build something for the youth. And I want the police department to have a part in that. That's the number one legacy I want to leave behind. It's something in the community where the youth can go and understand that this is a safe area to go learn and hang and deal with police officers.
Because you said had it not been for your father, you might have been, in jail, prison, or dead. I think you said that at your retirement party. So that is very important to you.
I absolutely believe that 100%. If it wasn't for my dad, I would be dead or in jail.
Wow. All right, so, I have to ask the simple questions here now. Cowboys. I mean, who are you going to root for?
Between who? The Cowboys and who?
Well, there's only one other team in Texas, the Texans.
All right, well, Cowboys all day long.
Rangers, Astros, that's even a bigger one.
You know what? That's a good question. When I was living in Houston, it was always I wanted the Astros or the Rangers to win, and I was happy with either one. So now I'll say the Rangers or the Astros to win.
Yeah, because the Rangers don't cheat. No. The Rangers weren't using trash cans. Not just teasing. Oh, that's great. All right. Anything else you want to add? No? Oh, yeah. What are you doing for your mom for Mother's Day? Good question.
You know, well, unfortunately, I won't see my mom for Mother's Day because I will be hanging out in Dallas and she'll be in Lafayette, Louisiana. But I will definitely give her a call. Um, she knows how to FaceTime, so we'll FaceTime and we'll celebrate that way.
I do love that relationship between the two of you. You're really close to your mom. I saw that. And your sister. Your sister was very important. You have very strong women in your life.
I do, and look, my mom, I love her to death. I make it a point that we talk at least 4 times a week. And if we don't talk 4 times a week, she'll call me up and she'll say, "Boy, are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good, Mom, I'm good." She's like, "Well, we only talked 3 times this week." And I'm like, "All right, I'll make it up next week. We'll talk 5 times." So, but I make sure I talk to her at least 4 times a week.
I just reversed this when we were talking about command staff. How important is it to diversify that command staff? Because there's not a lot of there's a lot of diversity right now, but to continue that and make sure that there are women and Latinos and everyone's represented and has a voice at the table.
Well, it's super important, and it's something that I'm looking at, right? But you have to also make sure that everybody's qualified and talented, because we don't want to compromise the ability to do the job just by trying to diversify, but diversification is extremely important.
Do you think it might make it a little bit easier for you than, say, an insider? Because, I know DPD, it's political. Everybody, the associations are going to want you to promote their guy or their person, their woman. But, at the end of the day, like you said, you want the best qualified people. Does it make it easier to come with a clean slate and let everybody prove themselves?
It absolutely makes it easier, and I explain that throughout the interviewing process. I don't owe anyone any favors. I wasn't in an academy class with anyone, and I haven't known anyone other than the few weeks that I've been here. So for me, it's about work. Who's going to get the job done? Who's going to take care of everybody inside of Dallas and make the Dallas Police Department the very best?